Hi, it's Paul from Model Builder International. First thing, we've moved our website a little bit. We're now at mbi.hobbylinkinternational.com. All our various websites, Sci-Fi Fantasy, the community site, Modelers Tube and Model Builder International, all now underneath the main hobbylinkinternational.com website. So you can just go to hobbylinkinternational.com and then all the sites have the same menu at the top, so you can jump between the various sites just using the menu at the top. Anyway, enough about that. Today, new review. Today we're going to talk about a Platz. This is 1/44. There's a UH-60J and a U-125A in there. Rescue Wings is an anime television series which aired in TV in Tokyo in 2006. The main character is a helicopter pilot in the search and rescue wing of the Japan Air Self-Defense Force. The anime is part of the Rescue Wings media franchise produced by Bandai, which also includes a live-action film released in 2008 with the main character as a female pilot, as well as two manga series with different stories focusing on search and rescue squads and personnel. I'm not going to talk about the UH-60J because I did a separate video on the UH-60J in Rescue Wings. If you want to know more about that particular aircraft, go have a look at that video. Talk about the U-125A. Japan's the only country to use the U-125A maritime search and rescue variant of the Hawker 800, which is itself a derivative of the British Aerospace 125. Specially engineered and equipped for maritime search and rescue duties, including features such as large observation windows on either side of the fuselage, a Toshiba 360-degree radar system, Melco thermal imaging equipment, flare and microbuoy dispensers, life raft and emergency equipment dropping system. Other features include a comprehensive suite of communications equipment and enhanced protection against the saltwater environment in which the aircraft operates. Okay, let's have a look inside the box. What do we get? It's from the Rescue Wings series, although that's a TV series, but these are kits of real aircraft. We've got a UH-60J and a U-125A, one of each, 144th scale. Much on the outside. Picture on the back, I presume that's the decal option for each of them. We'll find out in a second. Those look pretty neat. So what do we have? We have two sets of instructions. That'll be the U-125. And that's the 60J. And it's in see-through plastic, which looks pretty neat. We'll have a look at that in a second. So, the instructions. So this is obviously for the... that's for both of them, for assembly. And this one is Japanese on that side. Looks like basically history of the 60J and a history of the 125, well, basically background details. And then decal and painting guide. And a combined decal sheet, 60J top half, 125A bottom half. And small photo etch for it as well, for the 60J. That's cool. So, helicopter goes together, usual parts. Weirdly, starting off by building the external fuel tanks and the winglets that attach them. Down to the bottom left, step 2, put in the cockpit together. And then, interestingly, step 3 is everything else. It looks reasonably straightforward. Just the whole cockpit goes on as a separate item. It's an interesting build sequence, very different. And the other side, a bit for the 125A, some unused parts on the sprue tree I noticed there. Whereas in the helicopter everything was used. Again, different, starting off by putting the engines together, then down fuselage halves, obviously clear parts to do the windows by the looks of it. Simple 2 seats, but we won't see anything in the cockpit. Step 3, putting the wings together. Looks like it's a one-piece wing, no assembly needed. And then put the small bits on. So, and let's look at the painting guides. Things called out in Mr. Colour Model Master. Obviously you've got the painting guide on the back here to help you as well. That all seems pretty straightforward. Yeah, decal placement is there, painting guides are there, so that's all pretty neat. Let's open up the bags, have a quick look inside. Okay, so I'll just show you this as I took the helicopter kit out of the bag, and this is how it's all set up. Basically it's all in one bag, but it's all separated. So you have basically a complete helicopter there in that section. So you've got all these different sections which obviously they can't scratch each other. So that's pretty neat. And then the aircraft, dark grey plastic, single tail or whatever, and nice recessed panel lines. Looks like quite a nice little aircraft actually. As I said, the whole wing is one part, so that's pretty neat. And there's clear parts in there as well. So let's have a closer look at the instructions and a closer look at some of the parts. The history and plastic of these two kits is pretty simple. There isn't any. These are the only kits of these two aircraft in this scale. The kits are manufactured by F-Toys, and Platz sells them. Platz do a lot of F-Toys kits in this scale, and they're actually pretty neat. The UH-60J is 26 parts plus 14 photo etch parts. The 125A, you're supplied with 44 parts, of which 3 are clear, but there are 13 parts that are not used, and you get a decal sheet has 2 options for each aircraft. The UH-60J build is pretty straightforward, as you'd expect in this scale. Just 3 steps. Step 1, putting together the external fuel tanks with the winglets. Step 2 is putting the interior of the cockpit, such as it is, inside the front part of the nose. Obviously detail is somewhat limited in this scale. There is a colour call out here though for the internal colouring. Step 3 is everything else. 2 fuselage halves, the tail is only on 1 fuselage half, and then all the other small parts go together. Rotor blades, rotor head, engine intakes, and then you obviously put the parts you made in part 1 and part 2 go together as well. But it should be a pretty quick build. Interesting use of the frosted plastic, but the what you would consider the clear parts, they are actually clear, they're not frosted, so that's pretty neat. So should be pretty good. And now the U-125A build. Again, really quick, only 4 steps. Step 1 is putting the engines together. Step 2, fuselage halves. Again, the tail is on one of the fuselage halves and not the other. Clear parts for some of the windows. A couple of seats for the inside of the cockpit. Again, limited detail inside there, but you're not going to see anything really. Step 3, put together the big parts. The wing is a one-piece wing, top and bottom. Fuselage, the clear part for the canopy, and the engines and elevators. And then step 4 is putting on the undercarriage, and a couple of other small parts as well. All in, it should be a pretty quick build. For painting and decaling, you get a single side of black and white to explain it all. The top half shows where the photo etch parts go on the helicopter. It's pretty neat that you get 14 photo etch parts on a helicopter in this scale. Then the bottom half is the UH-60J and the 125, the painting schemes. Basically you get 2 decal options for each aircraft, but the actual paint schemes are identical, so they'll look the same, just have slightly different numbers on them. But it all looks pretty neat. They'll certainly stand out on the shelf, and they're pretty neat little kits. The paints are called out in Mr. Colour and Model Master, and as you saw in the instructions, as needed they're called out when you need them for interior detail. So overall they're pretty neat little kits. These are the only kits of these aircraft in this scale. So if you want them, you have to get the Platz version, which is actually produced by F-Toys. Platz sell a lot of the F-Toys kits, and they are actually pretty neat, so it's a good idea that they do. You end up with a couple of quite nice looking kits. They are 1/44 scale. There's a lot of really nice detail on the outside of these kits, though, plenty of panel lines to get washes in. A couple of interesting paint schemes as well, especially the helicopter. It's all in all pretty neat little kits. So many thanks to Platz for sending it along for us to have a look at.